All right, we're ready to go, Scott, man. Let's kick it off as episode number 12.
Number 12, number 12. I'd just like to let everybody know we're just getting started here and I'm fired up. I'm ready to go because every time I say I'm just getting started, I feel like in that Talladega Nights where they say shake and bake. And then the Will Ferrell goes, I'm fired up. And I just keep
I'm
saying I'm
fired
fired
up,
up.
man. Let's go. Let's go. We're
But
going to talk
today,
about what law of attraction today. Like this is pretty cool, man, because law of attraction for me is a constant practice. Because
yes, it is.
sometimes we always get in our own way, and that law of attraction, that's not really what it means, is it?
No, it definitely is not. I mean, the law of attraction, we are what we attract. I mean, people say that opposites attract, but we are what we attract. If we're very negative, if we're very positive, we're going to attract that. And the law of attraction, it really starts with gratitude and being grateful for what you have around you and who you're around, because the people that are around us really matter. I mean, and if you're grateful for that, you're going to attract more of that.
Yeah. So when did the law of attraction really become when did that become aware to you that that was even a thing, that the law of attraction? Because I know there's a YouTube channel called the Law of Attraction.
Yes.
There's a lot of motivational speakers that talk about it. But when did it really click for you?
Well, it really clicked with me several years ago when I noticed that, and you and I discussed this before. Like you said before that you were the guy that when people would call you, you'd be like, "Man, woe was me," and this and that. And I kind of had a similar thing with that, and it kind of clicked with me. Like, if I want to get out of this, or if I want this to change, I have to be different. And so I made a conscious effort to change how I was reacting and acting around other people, and then it attracted better things and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and it got me out of that whole despair, what was me kind of thing, because I realized that at a certain point people didn't really want to be around me, or the people that did, they were doing that same thing too. But when I started being more positive and like bringing value to other people, it just attracted more and more and more.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And with that, what did you work on that kind of shifted that?
I worked on me, and I went inside instead of focusing on the external. It's got nothing to do with the external. What you are inside is definitely reflected on the outside. You cannot be masking something that is very harsh inside you, that's buried deep inside you. It will be reflected outside. You have to go deep, and however you need to do that, meditation, prayer, or just thinking about yourself and allowing yourself to make mistakes and correcting those mistakes. But it comes from within. You can't fix the external world. Because one, that's a way too much of a burden for everyone or anyone to take on. But you can start with making those steps, like be nice to yourself, take take breaks, and when you try to catch yourself talking negatively about yourself, and when you do, say that's not true.
Exactly.
You know,
You know, I got to say, I absolutely love this quote, and this is really the shift for me. Like when the whole law of attraction kind of switched for me is when I read this quote and it sank in, probably a little different than the words are, but it just clicked for me. And it's by Aristotle. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence
hmm
then is not an act, it's a habit.
yes,
And that right there, immediately, I thought, I am what I repeatedly do. And I flipped it to, therefore, greatness ought to be a habit, not an act.
yes,
And I remember like it was yesterday that when that really hit for me, I was like, what I'm doing repeatedly is where my direction's going. And this is what I got to fix.
yeah. That's so true. Thinking of that saying, "Comparison is the thief of joy," by Theodore Roosevelt. I say it a lot to myself because I catch myself thinking about other people. Well, they're here and there. And it's like, well, that doesn't matter because what's around me is a reflection of what's inside. If I want the outside world to match the inside has to get better. And that's what I'm going to attract by doing those things. And just makes a lot of sense because when you start living that way, you start attracting that way.
Absolutely. Let's break it down. Let's frame it for our listeners a little bit. And let's say, what is the foundation of law of attraction? To me, it means what it actually is it's thoughts, it's feeling, and it's aligned action. And you want to explain some of that, what that really means?
Well, thoughts, it all starts there because our thoughts dictate what our lives will be. For that future you to happen or to be there, it has to be attached to some type of emotion. And you have to take those actions that are based on those emotions for you to be that person. So once you start being that person that has those thoughts and has those emotions and takes those actions, you're already that person. So as you know, if you live that way and you sleep that way, when you get up in the morning, things start to change and move towards that. And it's proven because I know I've done that in my life just by changing those thoughts and having those emotions and doing the actions. It's not without work because it takes a lot of work to change who you are and think differently of yourself, especially if you're brought up with a lot of negative reinforcement, or maybe you have a bad environment and stuff. But once you start thinking differently and you think highly of yourself and you have those happy emotions attached to those actions, people around you will gravitate towards that and they will be attracted to that because, hey, what's this person doing? But I don't know what he's doing, but I want to get what he's doing. I want to be a part of that. And that's what it means to me because it all kind of lays out very easily. And how does that resonate with you?
Yeah. I also think the common misconception is it's not wishful thinking.
Yes.
Like it's real thoughts.
Yeah. Most definitely. Like what your dreams are can come true if you attach those things to it. It's not, it used to be that people used to think your imagination is it's just a fantasy or what have you. But your imagination breeds creativity, and creativity breeds action and creates emotion. And all those are tied together. Once you can link those things up, you can have all those things and you have everything that comes with it. You already have it within you. So it's just a matter of time once you become that person that all those things happen.
Well, I know also sometimes people also frame this as this scientific angle
Hmm.
of the quantum physics or the
Yeah.
neuroplasticity
Yeah.
and versus the spiritual perspectives.
Yeah.
And me personally, I'm a very spiritual person and I feel that when you do good things it comes back to you. And I also feel like if you're watch what you pray for because your prayers could come true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Most definitely.
yeah, so I think that I'm going to take the spiritual approach to this and say, me personally, I feel like when we consistently put ourselves out there, we attract more good things to ourselves. When we pray for it, we attract those things. And I like the spiritual approach more than the quantum physics side of it or the neuroplasticity. But the end of the day, I know that the law of attraction works because it's worked for me in my life. And
Yeah.
it really has. And I think the biggest thing for me that was a switch was there was certain things that I visualized. And the visualization of this and seeing it and feeling the outcome, like physically feeling like this is what it's going to be like when we get here. That's when it all started coming together. That's when it started happening, when I could start to visualize the future best self or the making it to this mountaintop or getting past this point in the life. And that's where things really started to come true for me that the law of attraction was a real thing. It was
Well,
practical applications that I put in my life about visualization.
definitely. And I would say, the spiritual self and your subconscious are probably the same thing. I don't know enough about the quantum physics or anything. I'm not an expert. If I start talking about it, I'd just be making stuff up. So
I respect that because I do feel like there is some people that they try to fit in a square hole,
yeah,
and they're a round peg and they just
yeah,
don't fit right. And I feel
yeah,
like some of us need to just say, you know what? I don't know enough about that. But me
yeah,
personally, I say I can speak on the spiritual side of things because of the beliefs in my life. And I would agree, there's definitely gurus out there, and maybe we'll have one on the show that can tell us all
yeah.
about
That
quantum
would
physics
be,
and
yeah.
neuroplasticity.
City, yeah, I mean, that would be great because, like, for me, like the spiritual self and the subconscious, that's always there. It's always on. And whether we're sleeping or not, it is pretty much what resonates outward from that. So your spirit, subconscious, what have you, those two things. And I think it's all related. And it's all related by things that I don't necessarily understand, but I don't have to, because I can just understand that it works and that our subconscious, our spiritual, our spirit controls our outward, the law of attraction. If we're very negative in spirit, we're not very detached from our spirit, from our subconscious, our life can be quite empty, and I know that to be true because anytime I was too distant from either one of those things or that one thing, it my life was very scattered, very, very, very disjointed and jumbled and everything. But when you get back in tune with your subconscious, with your spirit and the true nature of yourself, you will naturally attract everything and anything that is coming to you.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that gratitude plays a big role in this because happiness breeds happiness. Good deeds greed or just
Hmm.
bleed into more happiness and more good deeds. And the gratitude side of it for me is simply as putting a smile on your face because it amplifies the attraction, right? So I know in early days, and then probably for you, you can relate to this. If you're the captain of the ship, you're running the show, you're the manager. If you got a smile on your face, more people come up to you and feel welcome to offer advice or put their hand up. But when you're running around with just a straight face and kind of, straight point
Hmm.
blank, less people you seem to kind of block your blessings.
Well, most definitely, because I mean, I grew up in the age of negative reinforcement, and you were afraid to ask questions. So, because you knew it was coming next, it was going to be a certain talking to, and it was usually really loud.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
said that I always said I wanted to be open and be able to, address concerns, and people should be able to come to me as the captain and know that, hey, he's going to solve the problem. He's going to help us. And he's also going to have a good time while he's doing it.
That's
Because
right.
I think there's no reason for us not to have a good time while we're doing this podcast, or there's nothing so serious. Even if people have passed away, I don't think, I know when I pass away, I don't want people to be sad. I want people to be, hey, he lived a great life. Let's celebrate his life, and that we had the chance to share time together, because that
That's right.
happiness is very attractive, and it attracts, it's part of the law of attraction along with the gratitude. Because if you're grateful for everything around you and grateful for things that are coming in and out of your life, you're going to be happy and you're going to be fulfilled because you're probably doing things for other people.
Yeah. You know, I think there's also a side of detachment in the law of attraction as well. There's certain things we have to detach from. Like we have to allow space for what we want without the desperation. Like
Yes.
we don't want to be desperate. I've definitely been in times in my
Hmm.
life where I was very desperate for an outcome, and watch what you wish for because
Yeah.
that level of desperation, I got what I wanted, but I definitely didn't want it once I got it.
Yeah, that's so very true. I mean, that was when I had Dr. Benjamin Hardy on my podcast. He said, "Don't be careful thinking too small because it just might work out."
Remember hearing that. I remember hearing that part of that episode, and it was so good. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I
man,
say that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, 100%, man.
yeah, because
So, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say because what the thing that I would tell my younger self is like, for one, fail faster. Two, think bigger and go bigger. Because
I
a lot
love
of
that.
times I shot small and I made it, and then I was like, what next? And it was like it seemed like I had a mountain to climb. Like every time I got to a peak, there was a larger mountain range ahead of me, and the thing that really changed for me was just being more grateful, and the gratitude was just it's a game changer.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I got to say, there's been so many good things that's happened, and they sure didn't come from desperation.
No.
And I would also say that there's a certain amount of identity shift that needs to happen as well. Who do I need to become to receive this?
Yes.
Was the biggest switch in life. I really had to say, okay, things aren't working out, but I have to be a different person to receive this blessing that I'm asking for. It means I
Yes.
can't stay the same person and get blessed for these things that's happening. Like I have to become a better version of myself to receive this.
Yeah, and we also one thing I learned the hard way is because I've always been a very giving person. You have to be ready to receive because if you
Yeah,
don't receive, you're not completing the cycle. And I did that for a long time, and I didn't. You know, I wasn't like if somebody did something for me, I would kind of, oh, that's okay. You don't need to do that. But thinking back, it's like that person thought highly enough of me to go out of their way to do something for me, and I kind of shrugged it off, and I was like, man, that's probably not the best way to do it because that person was probably put off a little bit and it probably didn't make them feel good, and it's one of those things where I've always tried to live my life focused on living my life to where if somebody shows up at my door, if they've traveled out of their way to come see me, I got to let them in. And
sure,
it's the
sure.
same thing like they come with, to give something, I have to be ready to receive it because there's a reason why they've.
Yeah, I want to talk about that for a minute. How you receive is so good. And I remember hearing a speaker talk one time, and they did an exercise in the room, and it was about money, but I think it's bigger than money. And it was, what does your physical person look like? So let's pretend for a minute I'm gonna give you $100 million, life changing money. Maybe it's $10 million is life changing money for you. And what would be the physical shape of your body when you would receive such a gift of large magnitude? And they had everybody in the room close their eyes, and they had their body physically take shape of what it would look like if they received this money or this large amount of money. It was kind of funny when everybody opened their eyes. There was a lot of people in the room that was like this, or they were,
Yeah,
covering themselves
i
up.
I remember this story, a
Yeah.
similar story. Go ahead, go ahead there.
And when you think about that, if you're like this, then you're subconsciously blocking your blessing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like for me in life, I'm like this. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, let's go.
Really? Yeah.
Let's go. I'm not, and you feel good. Like I want my listeners right now to stick your hands out and you're like, I'm ready to receive. And I think internally we have to be like this. We have
Yeah.
to be ready to be thankful. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, this is me receiving and I'm being thankful. Head
Mm-hmm.
down, bowed a little bit, and I'm going, man, thank you so much. But out
Mm-hmm.
here in the general public, man, I'm like this.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, let's go. So if somebody said, Eddie, I want your physical body to take shape of the greatest blessing you could ever receive.
Yeah.
I'm like this, man. I'm basking in the sun. I'm just,
Yeah.
let's go. And
Yeah.
once that gets deposited, once that's in my ecosystem of blessings, I'm like, thank you. I'm just
Yeah.
sitting here, hands open, thank you. And I think that's the greatest blessing. And I think that if I was to share my personal practices, forget morning routines, forget rituals, affirmations, the first thing I do is like this, man, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And then I'm ready to receive it and say, yes, thank you so much. And I think that's a big difference. I think if people could reframe from people, going, oh, you may not be getting your blessings because you're deflecting them. You're like this, you're up
Yeah.
here like you're getting beat up by Mike Tyson,
Yeah.
trying to
Your
block a jab. You're like,
defense posture.
yeah,
It's very true because my daughter had to do these exercises because her body was kind of in a fight or flight mode, which you can feel it when you go like this. You feel your brain and everything tense up. But when you go like this, like you just did, like you're always doing, your brain relaxes and knows you're safe and you're ready. You're ready to receive, and that's why also giving people hugs and opening your arms and everything like that, it calms the brain. And you'll notice that your brain starts your breathing slows down. And
I think something we got to do is we got to starting a podcast like this because I feel so much
yeah,
better.
yeah. Yeah, I just like
Stretching out, going, yeah, let's go.
I'm already fired up. So
I am, man. You fired up. So some common blocks and how to overcome them. I know that there's a lot of us that we have some doubts, some limited
mhm.
beliefs. Scott, how would you reframe some of these limited beliefs if you're really focused on the law of attraction and you have some limited beliefs? How would you reframe it?
Well, sometimes what I do, and I know we've discussed this before, is journaling and stuff like that, where you write down like the limiting belief. Like I've discussed this before, like you write down in one section, raising capital is hard, and next section, raising capital is easy. Then next section, you write down all the reasons why raising capital is easy. You say capital is abundant. I attract capital from ultra high net worth individuals, fund managers, private equity, business owners, yacht professionals that know, like, and trust me. And then I list like all the people I know that have raised in the last couple of years. Of one guy raised 20 million, and he was raising almost 2 million a month. Like I told you before, the lady that raised $2 billion in a half hour, and I said, and I did like this. I'm like, yep, I'm
Yeah,
ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I had a meeting earlier today, and we were talking about he runs an IRA custodial group, and he said,
Okay.
Eddie, you should come, to San Francisco and speak. There's about 60 people in the room that they're people that have some large accounts, and some of them's exited businesses, and some of them are some tech professionals. Like there's a lot of money in the room. I would love for you to come and speak about the fund that you're getting ready to launch and the different things. And we kind of went over return metrics on what the projections look like. And he said, Eddie, I got to ask a question. If everybody in the room, if your projections hit those marks, I don't think capital is going to be a problem. My question to you is, can you deploy that much capital? I said, dude, I can chew up $150 million in a very short period of time. I said, capital's not the problem. And, that's the thing is you have to realize that capital is abundant. You have to realize
Hmm.
that somebody else has raised way more capital
Yeah.
than you've ever thought of. Again, don't think small because it could come true.
Yeah. And that's so very true. And just the mere fact that, that's one exercise I do. But one of the things is when I catch myself is just on the surface level, or just immediately just tell yourself, hey, that's not true. When you're sitting there and you go, I can't do that. One, take that word can't out.
Yep. Yep.
Forget about that
Out of
word.
here.
That's gone. Say, if you're confused or not sure about what the next steps are, go, who do I need to find to help me with this? And
Yes.
it's okay to ask for help with this. Go on LinkedIn, go on social media, reach out to everybody. Like you said, I started making this funny thing. I started making a list of people with all the deals we're working on. Like, who should I call? And then I wrote like about 5 people, and then I got to like number 6, and I wrote everyone in my phone.
That's it. That's the thing. I met with a business owner last week, and we were talking about marketing and stuff like that. And I said, number one, I said, do you do any marketing for your business? He goes, no, I don't do any marketing. I said, do you not like money? And he goes, oh, I love money. I love money. And it was kind of funny. This was really funny. And I know that if the person watches this, they're going to love it because they may or may not comment. But they said, because I was with another business owner that I already kind of coached a little bit. And he
Yeah.
goes, oh, yeah, dude. He goes, I love money. I said, I don't think you actually do, because if you really love money, you'd market more.
Hmm.
And so he goes to his truck, he reaches in a center console, and he goes, hey, Eddie. And he reaches over, he's got fans of $100 bills out in his hand. He's like fanning it out like this. And I started laughing. I looked at the other guy. I said, he doesn't think I'm impressed, does he? I said, that barely covers his payroll or his insurance for a month. Like, that ain't no money. Like, you could have way more money if you market it. And I would say to these business owners, they're like, oh man, I've tried everything.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, you've tried everything. So you mean you've contacted everybody in your cell phone? And they're like, oh no, I haven't done that. You've emailed everybody on your email list at least 3 times a week? No. You've posted 3 times a day on all your social media platforms? No. I don't know what your definition of everything is, but it's a lot different
Yeah.
than mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was it was really funny because I remember you saying that, and you're not the only person that said that to me. Because like when I'm, when you're sitting there trying to figure out, especially raising capital or finding a deal or whatever, I was at my meetup last night, and I was reminded of this again because this younger guy came up to me and he said, he had met someone that had a portfolio of 900 million, and I said, how'd you do that? And he said, oh, I just kept cold calling. And I was like, how many calls do you think you made? And he said, and he goes, I'm not really sure. And I said, he said, well, you made that one more. And he found that
Yeah.
person, you know?
Today we're doing this Inner Compass 30-day challenge, and day
Yeah.
5 is about replacing a negative input with a positive replacement. And for me, I turned off the radio today and I turned on a podcast. Well, the gentleman on the podcast, I had a pretty good drive home, so I had some time to listen, and it was I was really astounded. And this goes right along with what you just said. This gentleman said, I would mail 5,000 letters a month.
Wow.
And he goes, I was happy if 20 of them got opened. And I'm like, you've mailed 5,000 letters and
Hmm.
you're happy if 20 of them got opened. And then he went on to say, he goes, because if somebody opened my letter and they called me and booked an appointment, my average ticket sale is $200,000. So what I'm selling is $200,000. So if 20 people out of 5,000 letters,
That's 4 million
that's 4 million bucks
a month.
a month. So when he said, yeah, we have to send 5,000 letters to get 20 of them opened, I'm okay with that. And if you think about that, if 500 of them got you no opens,
Yeah.
well, then you'd 10x that.
Yeah.
I have to also think about the external environment here. And I have to
Hmm.
think about, is your external environment aligned with your real goals?
Yes.
Is it? You have to ask yourself this question. Maybe you're in the wrong room.
Hmm.
And that's why the law of attraction is not working, because you're around a bunch of small thinkers. I
Yeah.
call them low frequency thinkers. People that are thinking on a very low frequency, they're just getting by and they're just okay with that. They're not thinking about sending 5,000 letters and making $4
Yeah.
million a month.
Yeah.
I
Or
just,
may, yeah, or maybe they don't know that they're not okay with it, but they just don't know that they can do that, because
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Nothing
but
against
then
them. They just don't think big enough.
they meet the guy that mailed 5,000 letters, and because this younger guy, and it's like, because he was a wholesaler and everything else, and said, well, how long you been doing this? And he's like, not very long, but I saw other people doing it and making calls. And I said, well, I want to get into real estate. I don't have a huge amount of money, but I know how to talk to people.
There you go.
I'm just going to make calls until he gets what he needs. So there's where his outside world is matching his inner conviction and everything, because he's calling and he ran to somebody that had a $900 million portfolio, and he's probably going to do a deal with them.
Yeah.
And I said, so what are you going to do tomorrow? I said, well, I'm going to keep calling.
Well, that's like the same gentleman that was talking about this. It was the you could probably find it on YouTube. It was how to leave your 9 to 5 job in 9 months, and it's a pretty reputable podcast. So if you probably search that title, you'd see it. It's two gentlemen, and there's a gold thing right in the middle that's kind of shiny. And he also talked about, you know, he had Lego blocks of different colors, and he was talking
Okay.
about the Lego blocks of different colors represent your time. And he's like, I'd only work 4 hours on my days that I actually work 5 days a week, but I'd work Saturday and Sunday 10 hours because I have all my time on Saturday and Sunday to work 100% of the time. So that's when I get most of my output done for my 5,000 letters. So I was pretty impressed. And he said, and honestly, building up to the 5,000 letters, he realized when he put in that much input on Saturday, he might have a letter or two open because he sent more.
Mm-hmm.
And then he finally figured out the math. Well, I need to send 5,000 to get 20 of them opened.
Wow.
So he was able to retire from his W-2 in 9 months because of his efforts. I would also say that, even though he was really ramping this up, there can be a level of impatience that
Yes.
cause things to force something into place that you really don't want. I know me personally, I'm usually a very professionally impatient person. That was the old me. I'm a very patient person in the future to be aligned with what I'm supposed to get when I'm supposed to get it. I would honestly say we always want God to hurry up, but he's never late and he's always on time.
He's always on time.
Always on time. It's impeccable timing, like when you're on the last dime and it's about to fall out your pocket that has a hole in it.
Yeah.
Pocket gets filled back up with big enough change it won't fall through that hole.
Yeah, and it's a pretty unique situation when you realize that you're impatient, and I've done the same thing, especially when I was in my younger days. I thought everything needed to happen quickly, but nothing happens unless it's the right time.
That's
And
right, man.
if it didn't happen for you yet, it's because you were not ready. And you need to go through some other things. So you just really have to be patient. And once you're patient, you will relax and you will see those opportunities and you will attract those opportunities. And it's proven time and time again, a relaxed brain will bring the solutions, will bring those opportunities because you can see them. Because once you get very stressed, you start to develop that tunnel vision and you can only be at that one purpose, at that one thing, and you can't see anything in your periphery or anything else. And you lose sight of what the real big picture is. What you're working on or uber focused on may not really be the most important thing to do because you're getting very stressed about it. And generally, when you're really stressed about something, it starts to cause a lot of problems in your life. And then if it starts to not feel right, you really need to take a step back.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, man, let's move into the lightning round. What's one
Yeah.
daily practice you swear by?
It's the breath work early in the morning, and because it just helps give me that clarity and that relaxed state where I can funnel off all the noise.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. I know for me, it's I got a Bible app that I it's a guided study. It's
Nice.
got a written scripture, it's got videos, and then it's got time where it's got music and stuff where you're or a good musical tone, and then you're reading some stuff, and then after that I always pray. So that's always my go-to. That's my morning I practice. I swear by. I call it bolting on my armor. I notice when
Nice.
I don't do that, certain things come at me and they stick and I react differently. But when I get up early, I bolt on the armor, I go to the gym, I do my Bible study, I do all the right things, nothing can hurt me. I mean,
Um,
it just bounces off.
I would agree because I have my morning routine as well. You know, I read a little bit and I meditate, prayer a little bit, and then do my journal and then do some kind of workout. A lot of times I'll get to work and then later on, like I'll go work out because that'll be my break in between. Like we were talking about the nature walk in our mindset challenge because it's a good reset for me because then it's when I get bogged down too much it's that. And you can also do your prayer or do your meditation in the middle of the day also. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
going to hurt you.
Oh,
It'll
yeah.
actually help you because if you stop and take that break, get that clarity, that law of attraction will kick back in.
I mean, there's sometimes, man, I had to do it 11 o'clock at night because,
Mm-hmm.
the day just got out of hand and I just wasn't disciplined enough to make sure I did it. And when I reflect on that day, I'm like, man, I should have done that at 11 a.m. instead of 11
Yeah.
p.m.
Yeah. And then it would have probably centered you back and maybe you needed to do it again at 5, just kind of before dinner, before you go sit down with the family and stuff. And then you're going to sleep a lot better when you do those things.
Yeah.
Because some people, kind of poo poo the morning routine. Just get to work and do that. And it's like, well, if you're just working all the time at the expense of your mental and physical state and spiritual state, you're going to get to a point where you're in a very empty life and you will it probably won't end well. You'll probably have really bad relationships. Your work will really suffer, but you'll end up probably alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, this has been absolutely a great conversation. I got to say, this personally, this podcast series for me has definitely reshaped me in many ways for the better. And this has just been such good time. I can only hope that our listeners are getting the exact same changes in their life from listening to this podcast. I just hope that I know me personally, I feel like I've been called to serve here most recently quite a bit. And I feel like this is answering the call, or at least a good portion of that is answering the call by doing this podcast with you. And I think we both had this premonition that we needed to do more. And
Yes.
when we talked in that conference, like, dude, what could we do? And we're like, dude, let's put a podcast together
Yeah.
and just do a series.
Yeah. And we said what 8 we were going to do. Now we're at 12 and
Yeah, yeah,
we're just getting started. I know it's done a world of things for me and things that I can't put my hands on. It's just so many big things, big blessings and stuff for me because it's just kind of I see myself like changing and just being the person the person that Scott Kid is supposed to be,
that's right.
because it's all those things that those intangibles that you can't count that really make that law of attraction and make that life that we're supposed to live. And there's a reason why we're together doing this, and it's because we both want to help others and be there for other people and just show other people that you can do it. There's ways to do it. Just be it, do it, have it.
Absolutely, man. Well, if you want to end us out this time, Scott, you've got some great things that you usually end your reels with. So, man, just if you're listening, Scott, what would you tell them?
Well, I tell them one thing that I always say in my reels all the time is be clear, be grateful, and listen because that
Be
has
like
brought,
this.
yeah, be like this because that has brought so much like wealth and just physical, mental wealth to me. And then all the rest comes. It's just helped me to become the person that I need to be for my family and everything else. And it's brought me here today with my good friend Eddie Austin, where we're just getting started. Everything's getting better and better, and it's just creating a lot of things. And hopefully, everyone can join us and join us on the Mindset Challenge. Check out the Inner Compass, Finding Your True North podcast. And if you love this content, please like, subscribe, comment, share it with your friends. Hopefully, it's helpful to you guys because this connection with myself and Eddie has been exponential growth for me. And I know it has done wonders for him as well. And we're just getting started. And we hope you guys can join us in our journey going forward.
Go be great.
Thanks, guys.